Imagine a world, not just a desert, but a living, breathing entity, where colossal sandworms known as Shihula traverse the sands like gods. This is Arrakis, the sole source of spice, the most valuable substance in the universe, essential for interstellar travel and coveted by all. Welcome back, cinematic explorers, to a deep dive into the epic saga of Dune, where destiny intertwines with political intrigue and ancient prophecy. Today, we're dissecting every crucial moment of the first Dune film, revealing the intricate layers of its rich narrative. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below as we unravel the mysteries of Arrakis. Our story begins with Paul Atreides, a young man troubled by vivid, prophetic dreams of a desert planet and a mysterious girl. His mother, Lady Jessica, a powerful Bene Gesserit, has secretly trained him in that way, abilities typically reserved for their sisters. Arrakis is introduced as a planet of extreme temperatures and treacherous sandstorms, hostile to all but its native inhabitants, the Freemen. The Freemen, with their characteristic eyes of Ibad from spice exposure, are formidable survivors of the deep desert, coexisting with the giant sandworms. For the Freemen, spice is a sacred hallucinogen, but for the Imperium, it's vital for the Spacing Guild's navigators, making it the most valuable resource. Duke Leto Atreides, Paul's father, is preparing for a journey to Arrakis, a planet previously controlled by the brutal House Harkonnen for 80 years. A herald of the change declares that Emperor Shaddam IV has bestowed stewardship of Arrakis upon House Atreides. Duke Leto, despite the suspicious circumstances, accepts the Emperor's gift, knowing it's a dangerous move designed to weaken him. Paul pleads with Duncan Idaho, the Atreides swordmaster, to join his advance team scout mission to Arrakis. Paul confides in Duncan about his troubling dreams, where he sees Duncan dead and himself with the Freemen. Duncan, ever pragmatic, advises Paul that dreams make good stories, but everything important happens when we're awake. Paul then asks his father, Duke Leto, if he can join Duncan's mission, believing his Freeman language studies would be an asset, but is denied. Leto explains that Paul is the future of House Atreides, destined for leadership, and must travel with the main contingent. The Duke reveals the true danger: the Emperor is jealous of the Atreides' rising voice and plans to weaken them by pitting them against the Harkonnens on Arrakis. Leto's ultimate plan is to cultivate desert power by forming an alliance with the Freemen, a task he has sent Duncan to begin. Paul expresses doubts about being the future of House Atreides, admitting he never wanted the path of leadership, just like his father once dreamed of being a pilot. Leto shares his grandfather's wisdom: a great man doesn't seek to lead. He's called to it, and he answers, reassuring Paul that he will always be his son, regardless. Paul trains with Gurney Halleck, the Atreides' weapons master, honing his fighting skills in preparation for Arrakis. Gurney stresses the importance of fighting regardless of mood, demonstrating how a slow, deliberate strike can defeat a shield. Gurney warns Paul about the Harkonnens' brutality, emphasizing that he must be ready for the grim realities of their enemies. Meanwhile, on GD Prime, Baron Vladimir Harkonnen gives Arrakis over to the Atreides, but not without a sinister plan in motion. The Baron reveals that the Emperor is a dangerous, jealous man, who orchestrated the transfer to orchestrate the Atreides' demise. Paul is suddenly woken by his mother, Lady Jessica, who informs him that the Reverend Mother Gaius Helen Mohiam, Truth's heir to the Emperor, has arrived to meet him. Dr. Yu, the Atreides' Suk doctor, secretly warns Paul about the Bene Gesserit's own designs, despite their claims of serving the greater good. The Reverend Mother dismisses Jessica and subjects Paul to the agonizing Gom Jabbar test. Paul places his hand into a box filled with excruciating pain, while the Reverend Mother holds a poisoned needle, the Gom Jabbar, to his neck. Paul endures the pain by reciting the Bene Gesserit litany against fear, demonstrating remarkable self-control. The Reverend Mother reveals that Paul's test was to determine if he could control his impulses, possessing too much power, as Jessica's son. She questions Paul about his dreams, particularly of the girl on Arrakis, confirming his prescient abilities. Jessica confronts the Reverend Mother for putting Paul through such an ordeal, but Mohiam reminds her of her defiance. The Reverend Mother chastises Jessica for bearing a son, Paul, instead of a daughter, hoping he might be the Kwisatz Haderach, a male Bene Gesserit with expanded prescience. Mohiam expresses doubts about Paul's potential, stating their plans are measured in centuries and they have other prospects if he fails. Paul later asks his mother about the Bene Gesserit's plans, learning about their centuries-long breeding program to create the Kwisatz Haderach. Jessica explains this one would be a mind powerful enough to bridge space and time, past and future, guiding humanity to a better future. The Atreides finally arrive on Arrakis, landing their ornithopters in the bustling capital city of Arrakeen. They are greeted by a large crowd of freemen, chanting Lisan al-Gaib, a term for Messiah, planted by the Bene Gesserit. Thufir Hawat, the Mentat, warns against being fooled by the welcoming crowd, reminding them it's Harkonnen love out there, compulsory attendance. They enter the shield wall, which protects the city from weather and worms, but also hinders their communications. Lady Jessica interviews prospective housekeepers, meeting Shadout Mapes, a freeman woman with a concealed crysknife. Mapes offers the crysknife, a sacred blade made from a sandworm's tooth, to Jessica as a gift if she is truly the one. Mapes recognizes Paul as the Lisan al-Gaib from prophecies, handing him the crysknife. Later, a Harkonnen hunter-seeker attempts to assassinate Paul in his room, revealing the insidious nature of their enemies. Paul narrowly escapes the attack using his Bene Gesserit training, capturing the device. The Baron Harkonnen meets with the Sardaukar, the Emperor's elite soldiers, confirming their alliance to eliminate House Atreides. He assures the Bene Gesserit Truth's heir, Mohiam, that he will not harm Jessica and Paul, but plans to let Arrakis take the weak. Paul attends his first strategy meeting, where Thufir Hawat reveals the Harkonnens left the Atreides with sabotaged equipment and an impossible spice quota. Dr. Leet Kynes, the Imperial ecologist and judge of the change, is introduced as the neutral party overseeing the transition, though her true loyalties are ambiguous. Duncan Idaho returns from his scouting mission, confirming that the freeman number in the millions, far more than Harkonnen estimates, living in hidden underground sieges. He praises the freemen as demons in battle, confirming Duke Leto's vision of desert power. Stilgar, the freeman leader, meets with Duke Leto, offering the precious gift of his body's moisture, a sign of deep respect on Arrakis. Stilgar requests that the Atreides leave the desert to the freemen once they have harvested their spice, but Leto, bound by duty, cannot promise this. Duncan shows Paul a paracompass, an ingenious freeman device adapted for Arrakis' unique magnetic fields, and marvels at their inventiveness. He expresses deep admiration for the freemen, calling them fierce but loyal and attuned to the desert. Duke Leto, Paul, and Gurney join Dr. Kynes on an inspection tour of a spice harvesting operation in the deep desert. Kynes explains the vital importance of the still suit, a freeman invention that recycles the body's water, essential for survival in the desert. Kynes observes Paul intuitively adapting to the still suit, noting his natural connection to the desert, as if born to them. During the inspection, they witness a large sandworm approaching a spice harvester, alerted by rhythmic sounds. Kynes explains that shields attract sandworms into a killing frenzy, making conventional protection impossible in the open desert. A malfunctioning carryall leaves the harvester crew stranded, facing an imminent sandworm attack. Leto, demonstrating his profound care for his men, orders the evacuation of the crew, prioritizing their lives over the valuable spice. He bravely descends in his ornithopter to rescue the remaining crew, with Paul guiding them through the chaotic landing. Paul experiences a powerful vision during the rescue, further awakening his prescience and glimpses of the future. The crew barely escapes the colossal sandworm, leaving Paul shaken by the raw power of Arrakis. Leto confronts Kynes, stating that everything Harkonnen left them is in shambles, believing they were set up to fail, but Kynes remains stoic. Dr. Yu explains Paul's strange visions are a reaction to the spice, suggesting his sensitivity to it. Paul, with his enhanced prescience, shocks Jessica by knowing she is pregnant, a fact she had barely confirmed herself. The Harkonnen forces, bolstered by the Emperor's elite Sardaukar, prepare for their surprise attack on Arakim. Leto, sensing the impending betrayal, asks Jessica, not as his wife, but as a Bene Gesserit, to promise to protect their son. In a tender moment, Leto expresses regret that he never married Jessica, reflecting on their deep bond. The Harkonnen Sardaukar forces launch their devastating attack on Arakim, overwhelming the Atreides' defenses as their shield generators fail. Dr. Yu reveals himself as the traitor, having disabled the shields, forced by the Harkonnens who hold his wife, Wanna, captive. He confesses his bargain, to deliver Leto and Paul in exchange for Wanna's freedom, and plants a poisoned tooth in Leto's mouth, a desperate final act. Paul and Jessica are captured by Harkonnen soldiers, who plan to leave them for the worms in the desert after abusing Jessica. Paul, enraged, uses the voice for the first time on the Harkonnen guards, commanding them to release his mother. Jessica then uses her Bene Gesserit voice to command the Harkonnen captors to kill him and set us free, securing their escape. They discover a Fremkit left by Dr. Yu, containing supplies and a beacon, a desperate hope for their survival. Baron Harkonnen confronts Dr. Yu, revealing that he had no intention of freeing Wanna, instead fulfilling his promise by allowing Yu to join her in death. The Baron gloats over the fallen Duke Leto, taunting him that his son is dead and the House of Atreides falls. Leto, with his dying breath, unleashes the poison from Yu's tooth, killing Piter de Vries and severely injuring the Baron. Paul and Jessica encounter Dr. Kynes, who guides them to a secret ecological testing station, revealing her true allegiance to the Freemen. Kynes explains that Arrakis was once meant to be terraformed into a paradise, a project abandoned after spice was discovered. Paul, still reeling from his father's death, attempts to persuade Kynes to testify to the Landsrat about the Emperor's betrayal. He reveals visions of himself as Emperor, capable of transforming Arrakis into a paradise, trying to sway her. Kynes, aware of the Freeman prophecies of the Lisan al-Gaib, remains skeptical of Paul, but recognizes his potential. Sardaukar attack the station, and Duncan Idaho makes a heroic last stand, sacrificing himself to protect Paul and Jessica. Jessica grieves as they are forced to flee, leaving Duncan's body behind. Kynes points them toward a thopter and advises them to fly into a Coriolis storm, using its dust to hide from pursuers, then head south to find the Freemen. Kynes faces the Sardaukar, activating a thumper to summon a sandworm, sacrificing herself to create a diversion and destroy the Imperial forces. The Baron is informed that Paul and Jessica are presumed dead, lost in the colossal Coriolis storm. He orders Rabban to squeeze hard for spice income, unleashing his wrath upon Arrakis and its people. Paul and Jessica survive the storm, landing in the deep desert and beginning their arduous journey to find the Freemen. Paul sees a desert mouse, symbolizing survival, a vision he connects to Cheney. They must learn the sandwalk, an irregular rhythm of movement that avoids attracting the massive sandworms. A thumper is set off, drawing a colossal sandworm, forcing Paul and Jessica to run for their lives. They are cornered by a group of Freemen, led by Stilgar, who recognizes Paul from the Duke's council. One Freeman warrior, Jamies, demands their water, eager to kill the Outworlders. Stilgar acknowledges Paul as the Duke's son, but the Freemen are divided on whether he is the Lisan al-Gaib, the prophet. Jessica displays her Bene Gesserit fighting skills, disarming a Freeman and surprising them with her prowess as a weirding woman. Jamies, fueled by tradition and skepticism, invokes the Thamtul, a ritualistic challenge to the death against Paul. Cheney, the girl from Paul's dreams, gives him a crysknife for the duel, telling him Jamies won't let you suffer. Paul, reluctant to kill, struggles with Jamies, who repeatedly warns him that this world will kill you. Paul ultimately defeats and kills Jamies, his first kill, a brutal rite of passage. Stilgar declares Paul one of us now, recognizing his strength and the life for a life tradition. Jessica suggests they seek off-world help, but Paul declares, my road leads into the desert, choosing to stay with the Freeman and embrace his destiny. He looks to Chaney, ready to learn the ways of Arrakis and unleash the desert power his father envisioned, with the promise that this is only the beginning. And that, intrepid travelers, brings us to the thrilling conclusion of Dune, Part 1. The stage is set for an epic continuation, with Paul Atreides stepping onto a path of destiny, leading the Fremen into an uncertain future. What do you think will happen next for Paul and Jessica? Share your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this detailed recap, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe for more cinematic explanations, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Until next time, keep exploring the wonders of film.